What's up? What's happening? Ronin Man here. I'm here with Time.
Hey, it's chime time.
Dude, we're having a great conversation, and we're gonna open it up. Time's gonna tell a story.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I was like 11 years old. I mean, I grew up Catholic or whatever, but my family had really close family friends that were Jewish, and I'm at a Hanukkah party, right? And like, I'm just, having food or whatever, and this older guy like comes over, like just looming. And he kind of grabs me and puts me in a chair, right? And he sits across from me at this little table, and he goes, he rolls up his sleeve and he goes, "Have you ever seen this?" And it's the tattoos that you get in a concentration camp. And I was 11 years old. I was kind of older, but still young enough that I was like scared, so I covered my eyes. He like pulls my hands off my eyes, and he goes, "Have you ever seen this before?" And I was like, he's like, "You know what it is? You know how serious this is." He's like, "I was in a concentration camp in Poland, and I was captured because I was in the military, and they were the military of Germany was trying to pressure the captured Polish guys to reveal who the officers were. You'd get special treatment. To snitch out.
Snitch on the guys, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, but the other Polish guys didn't know that the general was with us, and he was wearing regular clothes like we were. But and the general knew that I knew. And after everything was said and done, they were evacuating the camp because the Russians were coming, and it was going to be a very serious thing. So they actually let a lot of people go, and you just needed to you could go home or whatever, but you had to get out of there because Russia was very, very bad. So he said that the general came to him and was like, "Thanks for not revealing me, protecting me, come to my house." So this guy, he went to the house, he went to the general's house, and the general said, "You can have everything in this house, anything you want, except for my daughter." And the general had this fancy BMW motorcycle, and so he chose that. So he takes this motorcycle, and he rides it all the way from Poland to France, sells the motorcycle, uses the money to get a ticket to like a boat ride to the United States, where he starts his new life in New York City. I don't know if it was an Ellis Island thing or anything, but
probably.
Yeah, I guess.
Big time Ellis Island back then, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so he's moving fast with the story, telling me, I'm a little kid. And he said, "I started a new life in New York City." And he's like, "I was like a young Jewish guy, but I had the hots for this, sexy Cuban girl, with good looks." And he's like, she was living with her family. She was unhappy. So like, she's like, "Oh, why don't you move in with me in my place?" So he's like, I'm putting her up. She's living with me, and there's just no sex, and he's like, "What's the matter?" So he confronts her about it. And it turns out she admits that she was married to a guy in Cuba. And at the time, and even till this day, you can't just like really leave Cuba. So she had escaped on a boat or something, or a plane, who knows. But, this guy that's telling me the story had a lot of compassion for her, so much so that he continued to put her up and even paid money towards the original husband coming to America. And this couple is reunited. They're so happy. They're like, "Oh, this is incredible what you've done for us. How could we ever repay you?" And he's just like, "Just go and be happy." So they leave. He's like kind of like really hurt because he really loved this woman. And he goes, finds a nice Jewish girl, gets married, has, the nice Jewish family life or whatever. And he's like, and then he's like, "I got really old, and here I am today, telling you this story, and you're someone I don't even know. You're just a little kid. You're just a little 11-year-old that I met at a Hanukkah party that I've never met before." And he's like, "I'm dying, and I couldn't even tell my family this story." And he's like, "Don't do what I did. Like, don't make the mistakes that I did, loving a woman that can't love you back. putting yourself out there like crazy. He's like, it's really good that I decided to step away from just rushing into a family, because I got to learn this experience and learn these mistakes and become who I am, and more for it. But, when I did finally get into the family life, I didn't even really know what I was doing then. And now I can't even tell my family these stories. And I'm telling you. And he's like, just don't rush into a family. Like, try and become whoever you can become. Learn from it. Pay attention. Pay attention to this story and do better than I did. And
And he died, right?
Yeah. So then he dies a week later. And my family, my mom and even the family whose place it was, they were like, you were talking to him for a really long time. What was he telling you? I was like, oh, just advice. But I really, really I didn't tell my family much. I didn't lead on. It was my first time being exposed to stories that were so extreme, even as an 11-year-old. But I really took this story forward, and it really helped me in my life. Seriously, even as an 11-year-old, you could seriously learn a lot. Don't sleep on giving advice to 11-year-olds or even the youth.
Right.
Yeah.
That made me think of so many things when you were telling me that. And you had to shorten it up to make it fit on this, but there was a lot there. And I thought, first thing I thought of was I was taking a boat once from Kagoshima to Okinawa in Japan, right? It's like a 24-hour boat ride. And I was on the boat, and there was nothing to do. The boat, there was literally nothing to do. But it was beautiful. It was really nice. It was, going to these little islands, very just picturesque Hawaiian looking water. But this guy, we became friendly, and he didn't speak English, but we were talking in Japanese all the time. And he said, basically I was the first foreigner he'd ever talked to, And then he said to me, I want to tell you a story, And so he told me about his, he says that he's actually partly American, but his grandmother what had happened was back way before the hippies. He said it started about 150 years ago. Some Americans, they got a boat and they went to look for paradise, and they ended up in Okinawa Prefecture in Japan. So they had left the United States. They were before the beatniks and before the early, there's always been people trying to be free. That's one of the messages. There's always been people. It's not new. It's always been happening. 150 years ago, Americans were leaving America on a boat, ended up in Japan. It's there's always been people breaking away. And they went there, and then they were looking for, paradise. They thought they found it. And then they mixed, but now they've been, so many generations they've mixed in. So the blood, you can't tell. But he showed me his eye. It was partly blue. And he was like, this was a big, I guess, it was a secret. It was I don't know if you call it shameful, but it was a big deal because it was a foreigner, right? It was he was part foreign, And he's like, you're the only person I've ever told this to. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, fuck. Now that I think about this story, it wasn't a story that was so meaningful. What was meaningful was to this guy, it meant a lot, right? You know what I mean? To him, it meant a lot, So when you get out there in the world, you meet people and they share things, and sometimes you're not ready for them, or you don't understand them, you don't quite get them, but you carry them, you now you were 11, right? So what year was that? How long ago was that?
Oh man, this was maybe the late 90s or something, maybe early 2000s.
Okay. So it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 20 years of playing with that story.
Yeah, and now you carry this as a meaningful story, right? So when you talk to people, you think with the internet and everything, things are, different now and everything. They're not different. The stories that you tell, the information that you pass on is very meaningful for other people, and they never forget it. They never forget the story, the kind of the message you're trying to give them. Because it's that guy gave his whole life to give you that message. He died a week later. Yeah. So that was his life's message. you know. That was the message of his life, right? And there's something to be said for that. If I think that's one of the things I really value is hearing other people's messages and picking those up, like little gems, just picking it as you go, get your bag, you pick up the rock, you pick up the gem, clean it up, stick it in your bag, right? And that's what they want you to do. They want you to take it. They don't want it to die, So it's not you're helping them by passing it on. If he knew that you were telling the story now, he'd be overjoyed,
Oh yeah,
because he'd be like,
yeah. It almost seems like you could make a movie out of this one. It's a pretty interesting story.
Concentration camp,
yeah, motorcycle. That's so cool. But yeah, like I think one of the key takeaways is that I think he knew, and we talked about this before we recorded this. The guy knew that he had made mistakes here and there in his life, and what we're figuring is that, like, you got to know, like, you could only make the right move at the right time, and imparting wisdom to someone who's youthful, perhaps maybe like I can make the right decision at the right time in my life when I recognize these different scenarios going on, or I could like alleviate myself of certain pitfalls that this guy was subjected himself to. It's pretty good information.
Oh, for sure. And there's also other things too, like understanding history. The only way you understand history is by hearing real stories. Because you can read them in books. I mean, I'm not saying it's the only way, but history is whitewashed. It's always like presented in a certain way, kind of because it has to be. You can't have just like random stories. No one knows the message. What's the message? Whereas like when you present it in a certain way, they give you a message, But when you hear a story, a real story, like I got a great story.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say some short.
Yeah,
like anyone can tell you like not to screw up your life, but someone who's screwed up, like
right.
it's like telling telephone. Like like this is history. This is like just telling something that's personal. That's like not written history or something like that. Mm-hmm. But like when you're playing telephone, it's so much better to hear it from the person, the first person. Like, and you're getting the story from that perspective, not like told about some people who were known to be wherever, like all this, like I don't even really know the Paul Revere story. That's a perfect example.
Who even knows if it's fucking real? One of the best. I was in Japan in about 1990, and I was teaching a class. I was teaching English, and it was a time when Japan was very high. Like it was the peak of Japan, and Japan was very rich. And also people were very proud. Like they really, like at that time, like if you ever watched the movie Tampopo, that was made at that period. And you can really see a different Japan that was going on then. I really recommend it. Itami Juzo's Tampopo. Great movie. But it really captures that era. But I was in class and it was a talking class, And so everybody was just like talking about stuff. And it was conversation class. And so kind of people were kind of like dissing America, basically saying, oh, America, And then this one old guy, he was like, you young people don't know shit. And he was old. And this is 1990, so he would definitely be dead now, And he's like, you people don't know shit. And then people were like, whoa, because Japanese guys usually don't talk like that, And then he said, America saved Japan. And he told a story. He was his dad was some kind of a top military, Japanese military. So he had like good information. And what the story he told was when after the U.S. dropped the first bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Russians, who were looking for revenge on Japan because they had invaded China and Japan, right? They had done a lot of like Unit 731. Everything was in like near Russia. So there was a lot of Russian comfort women too. So there was a lot of there was a thirst for blood in Russia. And they took 4 islands from Japan that they still own now, It was all Japanese people on there. They became Russians, even they are Russians today. And so they were going to take Hokkaido. So they amassed what was left of the Russian army there right across the water from Hokkaido. And they were going to take Hokkaido. Now, Hokkaido is the northernmost island of Japan. And it's the only island that is, it's like Montana. It's big. Everything's big there. Huge fucking sunsets, massive fucking trees, like just huge fruit. Like it's just abundant land, massive fish, huge tuna. It's just like, it's one of these places like, it's just a wild place. Yeah, and it's a rough, wild place. I recommend if you ever want to do something, you get a car or motorcycle and you just drive on the coast highway all the way around the island of up in the north. I can't even think of the name right now. But so they were going to take the island and Hokkaido, and the Americans said, as the Russians were ready to invade, the Americans told them, they said, if you invade Hokkaido, we will nuke Moscow. And only then did they back down. But the truth is, the Americans didn't have any more uranium. We had nothing. There was no more bombs. It was a total fake. But the Russians bought it, and they backed off taking Hokkaido. And he said, if the Russians would have taken Hokkaido, then Japan would have never had the bubble. They would have never had the rise that they had, because Japan is very resource poor. They don't have much stuff. But Hokkaido is full of stuff. Hokkaido is like very rich land, right? And that's where they get like a lot of their stuff from, right? From Hokkaido. So if they didn't have that, they just have these crowded, there wasn't much, right? So they barely made it anyway, importing a lot of stuff. But without Hokkaido, it does make sense that they would have probably never been a rich country. Everything is a balance, right? Everything's a balance. Your motivation, why people succeed, why people commit suicide. It's all just this razor's edge shit, That's why it's so important to take shit seriously, because you realize that you could go either way. You at any point in your life, you could turn one direction or the next. That's why you really need to take your own life seriously. It's not like a rock. Your life isn't like a solid thing that can't change. It's more like the Chinese saying, one of my favorite Chinese sayings actually, is crossing the river feeling the stones. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. That's a good one, because you're crossing a river, but you imagine the current is strong and the water is dark and you can't see how you're going to get across. But you're just like putting your foot out there trying to feel for that next rock. Then you get one rock and then you go on that. And then you get your other foot and you're going out for the next rock. And it's crossing the river feeling the stones. And I think that's more like life. That's really what it is. You're always kind of like that. You're on the verge of falling in at all times, And you just have to like have faith and have be brave, right? Where you're like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
And it's so crazy because like, it's not just you feeling your way through that river. It's other people feeling that the way through the river after you've felt your way too. Like, you impart your experience and they gain some kind of advantage. There's and if you don't explore, you won't evolve. And if you don't share, others won't explore and they won't evolve. Like, there's just so much to it. Like, so many people are relying on you to experience and share. Like,
oh, like the butterfly effect you're talking about.
Yeah. But it's a lot like that. It's and it seems so simple and it seems natural, like the older guys tell the younger guys what to do, right. Like, right. Almost like a family thing, like a grandpa or something, like, and it doesn't even need to be that way. Like, there's no like really defined rules. As long as you share, it happens. It's
right. We're built for it, right?
Yeah, we're built for it. We got mouths. Yeah, we got ears. Like, just do what's natural. Like, keep feeling your way through that river of life, and paint the picture.
It's the old campfire too, right? It's the old talking around the campfire, right? Is passing on stories, passing on things that you learned to other people, and then we take these understandings, right? And then we go into our life, and then we don't know how they fit, but then it's like they just somehow fit. You find a place where you're like, somehow your brain can put it together and make it, use that in real time as you move forward, right?
Yeah, you need the information ahead of time in order to use the information when it be, like you're in the situation. But I think that what you're talking about, like the right time to hear stuff or the right moments, like you were talking before about traveling and how like you run into people that tell you these stories and sometimes you don't know how it makes sense, but they're like little treasures. Like a lot of going out there and living life is also going out there and finding these other people that have the treasure already, to share. And there's so much more out there than just places to see or experiences. Yeah. It's also like people with these stories, like.
Oh yeah. You just reminded me of a great one. When I was in Palawan in Philippines back in 1990, I was I don't like prostitutes, right? And I never liked prostitutes. Like some people can't understand that, but I just like, they're disgusting to me. Like I just, you know what I mean? Like, So I was in the Philippines, and that's what everybody was doing, right? So that's what everybody was into, And I was young. I was like super young. So I was like, fuck, I had so much energy. And I was like, I got to do some shit, I got to do something. And I looked around, and that's all everybody was doing. Like everybody was like drinking and going to prostitutes, and they seemed happy. But to me, it looked just like somebody watching a TV. It was just like this self-satisfied moron, just mesmerized by this screen. It was the same kind of shit to me. I'm like, fuck this. So I went down to Ati-Atihan, this big festival that they have down in southern, kind of not southern, but like in the middle of Philippines. It's kind of like it's the carnival of Asia. It's quite fun. And I went to that, and then I had all kinds of crazy shit happen to me. I don't know how much you guys want to hear, but I had some really crazy stuff happen to me on this trip. Should I tell the stories? Some stories?
Yeah, if it's not too risky or anything.
No.
Go for it.
No, that's actually a good point to be careful with. But yeah, I mean, fuck, this story, I don't know. It's pretty hardcore. This story is pretty hardcore.
We always save it for another time.
Yeah. I might save this one. If you're listening, remind me to tell the bus story. Getting robbed on the bus story. Yeah. In the jungle. Yeah.
I know this one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So anyway, so after that, I went down, and I was just kind of bored. I went to Cebu, and I was just kind of bored, and everybody was just doing all these boring things, And so I said, oh, fuck this. So I said, what's exciting in the Philippines? And they said, well, Palawan is the final frontier. And I said, well, I'm going there. So I bought an airplane ticket and left I had this Philippine girlfriend. And I remember it was kind of hard to leave her. She was quite nice. And I was like, fuck, But I was like, she stayed with me for like 30 days, And it was very nice. It was very nice. It was almost like being married for 30 days. But it was like the best part of being married. Every day I would swim like 2 miles out in the ocean with like a bag of money in my hand, and I'd go to the fishing boats and buy fish and then swim back with the bag, and then she would cook them. We had like a water buffalo, and we had this bamboo house, and it was pretty cool. Because there's no store, so I had to swim out to get fish, right? And she would get fruits and stuff, coconuts, climb trees to get coconuts, right? So we were doing that in a small island called Panglao. It's near Bohol. Yeah, it's a real small island. It's probably still pretty much like this. I don't know. Back then there was nothing. It was just dirt roads and shit. And so anyway, then that was done. So I'm like, fuck it, I got to do something else. I went to Palawan, and then when I got there, there was no hotels to stay at, so I had no choice but to like ask people to stay at their house. So I just walking through the jungle, and I just say, hey, can I stay here? And then like basically people were pretty cool. So I'd buy them some stuff. Like I'd go to the store and buy some food for them. And they were stoked, because the Filipinos couldn't afford anything in cans at the time. So if you bought anything in a can, they were super excited. Like if you bought corned beef, they were fucking stoked, right? If you bought like instant coffee, they were fucking overjoyed. Yeah. And so like I'd buy instant coffee and some corned beef, and what else did they have? I can't remember what else, but like, yeah, just different, anything in cans they loved. So I just kind of buy some canned stuff, and then they would cook it up. We'd eat it, as I went through the jungle. And then this one guy, he took to me, and he said he was quite cool. I stayed at his house for about 6 weeks, and it was a mud hut, no air, no electricity. So we had the only electricity was the mayor. He had electricity on the island, he's the only one. And then nobody else had electricity. So, but we had this it was like a teepee basically, and it was made of mud. And then we would get these like poisonous roots, and then we would bury them in the ocean, like in the sand beneath the ocean, and leave them there for 2 weeks. And then the poison would seep out of them, and then we'd swim down there and get them again, and then you could cook them and eat them. So that was it was kind of like rice, like it was like the carbohydrate was the poisonous things, whatever they were. And then fish, we fished, right? So that's what we ate. And then I climbed the trees and got coconuts. So that's basically what we ate. And then sometimes I would buy the corned beef and stuff, right? So, and then he took to me, so he started telling me stories of stuff. And he said, you need to meet people. So he took me to meet this guy, and I never knew who I was going to meet. He'd just say, let's go meet somebody. And I was like, oh, okay. And we get in the boat, we go out. He would kill like an endangered species, like a huge turtle or something, and then he would have it in the boat to cook, and I'm like, isn't that endangered? We're not supposed to do, and he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. No one's here. I felt terrible though, because I felt like I still feel sad looking at that turtle, but anyway, it was interesting. He used the shell to cook. So he made the shell into a bowl, that big shell of the tortoise. Mm-hmm. And then he cooked the tortoise inside of there. And it did smell good, but I wouldn't eat it. But anyway, so...
Oh, man, you missed out.
No, I wouldn't eat it.
That's the only time you could ever eat that.
Well, those things were rare, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's
what I'm saying.
Well, no, you should have seen how beautiful they were. When he was swimming in the ocean, it was so beautiful. It was amazing, really majestic.
Dude, I missed my chance.
That's why I couldn't do it.
I had Barb on my back when we were on a jet ski, and she said that she saw a sea tortoise.
Oh, you'll see another one. You'll see another one.
Yeah, hopefully I will.
Oh, yeah, this was real close, too. Well, it was close enough that he could kill it, right?
Yeah.
So then the guy, he took me to this guy's house, and then he owned a coffee plantation. But he made me instant coffee because they considered anything manufactured to be high quality. Because they were poor, right? So that was their mindset. So there was all this wonderful coffee that I wanted to drink, but I ended up getting this shitty instant coffee, And then he was super proud. He's like, "This is instant coffee." So yeah, I knew. By then I knew what was going on. So I was like, "Oh, thank you." So then anyway, he told me all these stories. And in World War II, he was a radio man. So he was a translator and a radio man, and so then for the Americans, and then so he would. Translate, and he worked in Puerto Princesa, which is the main city in Palawan. And then he told me all these stories of the Americans. And then he got captured, and he was taken, and he did the Bataan Death March, which is one of the most famous war, atrocities of all time. He was one of the members. He was one of the people. They walked 1,000 miles or something, and most people died. All the Americans died. Because it was too hard, the heat was too much, and they would just stab him with a bayonet, leave him on the side of the road. And he told me 1 million stories of walking, and he kind of gave me good advice if you ever have to do some kind of death march type thing, how to survive, And it was very good advice. I can't remember the specifics of the advice, but I remember one thing was just you never put out a lot of energy. It was you're always conserving. You're breathing through your nose, not your mouth. So you're the least amount of, condensation leaving your body, right? And he had all these tricks, for how to survive in this situation. But he was telling me these stories, and then he said, you got to go to the leper colony. So I'm like, what? So then we got in this boat, we went to this leper colony. And I didn't even know they existed. I remember they were in the Bible, leper colonies.
Yeah, yeah.
But I never took them seriously. So we got to this island, and then that was all there was there. It was a leper colony. So we get there, and there's like a big sign, welcome to the leper colony. So we walked up the hill, and then they warned us. They said, by the way, before you come in, you have to know that nobody knows how leprosy spreads. So you might get it. Like if you come in, just be warned that you might get it. Because nobody knows how it spreads. They don't even, because it might spread from just seeing it. That was one of the theories back then, is if you just see people's eyes falling out, your eyes could fall out. And if and it could be some kind of bacteria. They didn't know what it was. So we had to sign this thing. And I went inside. And then I got in there, and then these guys, they were all like, they had their eyes were like white, and their arms were falling off, and their hands were, it was just like, you would imagine. And this guy, he was blind, but he heard me talking English. So he's like, oh, American. He's like, come over here. So I walked over there, and then he had like a stump. He had no fingers, but he had a stump, and he reached under his bed, and he somehow, it was amazing what he could do with his stump, because I guess he could kind of twist his wrist around or whatever. He could kind of grab things with his stump, and he grabbed his guitar, and then he could play the guitar with his stump, and he was playing. He called his friend over, so his friend came over. So these two lepers are sitting there, like they don't have any eyes, they're all white, and they're missing their hands and stuff, ears are falling off, and they're like, and they sang that song, All of Me. You know that song? Yeah.
Dude, that's brutal.
They're like, all of me. Why not take all of me? Like, take my hands. I don't want to use them. So he's singing this song, and I'm like, should I laugh? And I just started laughing. And everybody was laughing. He was laughing. And I was laughing.
Well, you got it. Like, that's what he wants. That's why they learned
That's exactly what he wanted.
That's the time to shine.
Yeah. He was like on stage, And it was like the weirdest, craziest experience of my life. I mean, I've had a lot of crazy experiences, so I wouldn't say it's the craziest, but I mean, it was definitely one of these things that it was so memorable. It was a fucking leper colony, And I was just sitting there like, the world felt so wild and free, That was the thing. It wasn't about gold fucking bullshit. It wasn't about BMWs with sunroofs or Teslas or nice houses or contracts. It was just like fucking lepers singing and guys who were POWs. And then they put me on a boat. And I found out the boat that I was on, had sunk, the last one. So like everybody had died. So I got on this boat, and I got on this boat to go to Manila, and it was like really long boat. It's crazy. It stopped like 400 places. But the boat was so overcrowded. There was like thousands of people. Just think of when you think of like the third world countries, when there's like 1 million people on a bus or a train. Well, there was a boat like this, a big boat. And there were so many people. It was crazy. I mean, it was insane. We must have been like 10 times over the weight. And everybody had big bags of rice and shit. And so anyway, I went to sleep, and I woke up, and I was covered in rats. Fucking rats running over my body. Like millions of rats. Like so many rats I couldn't even see my body. It was like a freeway of rats over the top of me. And what had happened is I had this candy popcorn in my bag. And so the rats wanted my fucking candy. And so they were like running all over me. And the whole floor was just all rats. And they came out at night. And I was like, because it was like only for the poorest people would take this boat. Because I mean, like, even if you're listening to this and you're a Filipino, you've never been on a boat like this. Like, this is the kind of boat probably doesn't even exist anymore. Like, this is like a hardcore old school poverty boat, right? Like the hardcore. Like, I probably paid $1 to go like 3 days on this boat, And so anyway, I woke up. So I'm like, fuck. So I wanted to save my popcorn, right? I was young, right? I wanted this popcorn. So then I kept trying to keep the rats away from it, but they were so brave. These things would come, they would crawl right up my leg. So I'm like, fuck, and they're trying to bite me and shit. They got rabies and shit, So I'm like, fuck this. So I saw a hook up on the ceiling. So I was like, I went up there and I put the popcorn on the ceiling, right? And went to sleep. And then I woke up and I looked up and there was a fucking rat on my popcorn above my head. And he was going to fall on my face, and he was like tearing open the bag. And I was like, God damn it. I'm like, how did he get there? It's like, you can't get up there. It's impossible. Like, I don't even know how he got up there. Like, it's physically impossible. And somehow he got up there. And so then I just thought, okay, I gave up. The rats beat me. That's the thing it's you against the elements, you realize how far humanity has come, Like, it's tough to beat a bunch of rats. Even the smartest guy. Like, I'm not stupid, but it's fucking tough to beat a bunch of rats. If they want something, they're going to get it. Like, you don't have a chance against a bunch of rats. When you're trying to sleep, no fucking way. Even when you're awake, you have no chance. Because they're tough, right? So anyway, I opened it. I just threw it on the ground, and the rats ate it. And then I went over to the store where I bought it, and then I looked inside the store, and each shelf was moving because there were so many rats inside the store where I'd bought it. It was just like it was like an ocean of rats inside. And I thought, oh my God, But what an experience! What a fucking crazy experience that was. The whole trip. And while I was doing that, everybody else was just sitting there, getting like drinks taken to them on the beach and just doing the most boring things, Like that was, I can't even tell you. I swam into a cave underwater. We went out to this like crazy island. I got caught in a storm. I learned how to free dive. When you ever seen the movie Le Grand Bleu? Have you seen the French movie?
But I'm familiar. I could swim 20 feet down. It hurts my ears. But
oh no, you gotta watch Le Grand Bleu.
Yeah,
they go down like he makes a world record. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, that's really. I don't know how they do it.
Well, no, they use a metal thing on a
like
wire.
A bell, right?
It pulls you down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was going down pretty far because I would leave his house and I there wasn't that much to do, so I'd swim out and then I would try to swim down, and I ended up going down. I know I went down past 90 feet for sure.
Whoa.
No, for sure, because one day there were scuba divers at another place. And they were at 30 meters. I swam down to them and I checked their gauge. They were at 30 meters. So that's 90 feet. And I was down deeper than that.
That's legendary. Holy crap.
No, that's not legendary. I mean,
that compared to anything I've seen.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
For me, that was just like, but the thing is, I was doing this. And then when I went to Sumatra, there's an island called Lake Toba. And I swam down in that. And that's very dark lake. It's not visible. It's not like the Philippines. And the lower I went, the hotter it got. And then I kept going down. It kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And then I came back up and I found out like it's a volcano. Like it's like super dangerous down there. Like I'm the only one who probably swam down into the volcano, into the hot water. Like I could have easily died, because I could have just got hit by like a bunch of hot water. Just by like
like a flash,
like a spring or something,
yeah, like a flow or something.
Yeah.
Like Earth moves 1 degree, you're 1,000 degrees.
Or even if I just swam down into it, because it was boiling hot.
Yeah, and who knows if there's like sulfur or something.
Oh, there was sulfur for sure.
Dangerous.
No, there was sulfur. Yeah,
like,
you could smell it.
Some kind of chemical composition.
Yeah, and I was just swimming down there, like not knowing where I was going, not knowing what's down there. And all I knew was it would get hot when you go down there. And I was going down 90 feet. So I was going down 90 or 100 feet. So I was going down pretty deep in this lake, right? So I know that it was pretty cool. And but it was like, I think that these kind of experiences, and I have a lot of these experiences. And I think this is what is missing today, is there's so many people that are not living life. They're not experiencing things. They're not seeing things. And so they don't have if you don't see things, if you don't hear things, if you don't meet people, if you don't learn things, like it's not about a video where you're like ABCs learning how to do something. It's like just learning the random parts of life, If you don't do that, it's like, it's so sad. It's so barren. To me, it's so barren,
So like there's this certain beauty to learning, right? And there's these comforts that are associated with predictability. And a lot of people want to know what they're learning. You know, like they're like, oh, I'm going to take a class on this subject, or I'm going to go to this university where they teach really well. You know, not a lot of people will go travel to a place that they don't even know where they're going. And when you do that, you end up being in these situations where you have to deal with the unknown, and you have to learn these new things, like whether it's rats, or whether it's just eating new foods, whether it's the assigned values of processed food to people who don't know any better, and they're cooking things in the ground, you know. They're showing you how they eat, you know.
Or how to when you're being stalked by a wolf. I learned this in near Pakistan, is when you're being stalked by a wolf, you have to be able to hit him with a rock one time. You can't miss. You got to fucking hit him. You got to hit him good, and then he'll leave. He'll take it seriously. You know, like, you have to learn these things. You got to learn how to, like, set the rules. You know, if you're being stalked by a wolf, like a dangerous predator, you can't fuck around. You can't fuck around at all. Predators are very dangerous. You know, it sounds crazy, but you know something? I don't think most people listening to this have ever been stalked by a predator. If you've ever been stalked by a predator, it's very interesting, to say the least. Because here's the interesting thing about predators, the really interesting thing that I learned from this wolf, is that the wolf, okay, we were in the desert, beautiful sunset, beautiful day. There was like a big rock that looked like a wave. So I was like posing underneath it, like I was surfing. And this Japanese girl I was with, she was taking pictures. And it was just perfect. I had these hippie clothes on. I had a perfect tan because we'd been down at the beach for like 2 weeks. And now I'd been riding my motorcycle all over India. It was like a perfect day. She was looking so hot. It was so insane. And we had just taken this break. We had been driving across the desert in the car. And then all of a sudden I saw this like movement out of the corner of my eye. I look over, just this movement. And then it disappeared. Now imagine we're in the desert, right? So sand dunes everywhere. But we're up on these like hills, like hilly sand dunes. And I thought there was a movement there. And then I think most people would have kind of gone to sleep. But I thought, no, I saw something. I don't know what it was, but I saw something. So I'm going to be aware. So I kept being aware. And then I looked, and then I saw it again. And then again. And what it was is, it was a wolf. But what he was doing is, he could crouch real low. And so with the sand dunes going up and down, he would kind of like go around with the sand dunes, kind of, you know. So it was very tricky. Like, you almost couldn't see him. Like, he was almost disappearing. And then when I did get a good look at him, when I finally saw him directly, he did something very interesting. He suddenly became like a dog. Like, he was a wolf. 1 minute, he was like down low, looking dangerous as fuck. And then as soon as he knew that I saw him directly, and he didn't have any sand dune in front of him, he like was like docile, and he was like smiling, and he's like standing up straight, and he was like looking around like a dog. And then I looked the other way, and then I look back, and then he goes down low, and he's down back in the wolf thing. So when I looked at him, he's looking safe, and look away, he's full on predator. And that in itself is so interesting. It's hearing it, you probably don't understand how profound the change was. The scariness of that guy when he was low. And then all of a sudden, just like, you would feed him. Like, you would just feed him like a homeless dog. You wouldn't even know he's a wolf. He was just like, you know, he'd just be like, oh, here's some food, you know. Are you hungry? You know, that kind of thing, right? And then I went online. I got interested about wolves. And I looked online, and I found out how wolves kill you. Is what they do is they act very safe. They don't come like a lion. They just like, oh, you know, they just kind of tentative around you. You're like zipping around and this and that. And then they come and they just do a little nip on the back, you know, your Achilles heel. They just do a little nip there. And it doesn't really hurt. So you're just kind of like, well, I thought he was going to bite me, you know. But he doesn't. He just kind of nips you. So then you just go, oh, whatever. Keep walking. Then he comes and he nips you again. Right? And then like you know, well, what the fuck was that? You know, then he comes and nips you again. And then he just keeps nipping you until finally, you know, hurts, right? So then you stop walking. Right? So then he comes and takes another bite. right? And then eventually what happens is, it really hurts. So you're like, you don't feel like you're in danger really. That's the thing. That's what's so dangerous about it. You just feel like he's kind of nipping, it kind of hurts. You're going to take a break and he's not really biting you. So you think, well, I can just kick him away or whatever, throw a rock or whatever. And then you're on the ground. Then he has another strategy. And then the final one is he goes for your throat, right? But that's the way the wolf operates. He's got a very sophisticated predatory method, and it's not like you think. It's not like this attack you thing.
Yeah, it's not even physical, just physical. It's like emotional.
Right.
Yeah. And this is right up there with the feeling the rocks in the water. Like sometimes it doesn't have to be a person that tells you the story of what to deal with in the future. It could be an experience where you learn from like a predator, like a wolf. This could very easily be the way that somebody acts like a person, a human.
Well, that's
predator.
the thing.
And
that's the fucking thing.
When you go out there, you learn and you get these lessons that just help you in the future. And you're not an individual if you're learning the same thing as everybody else. It's not evolutionary. Like what is evolutionary is when you're out there and you're for sure learning a lesson, even on your own. It's not weird. It's not like 100% self-taught because you're seeing what's out there. You just got to get out there,
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, is like even just listening to this, you're getting like some serious fucking good shit here. These are lessons I picked up in my life, and I want to pass these on. I want to pass these on.
Yeah, they're lessons that lead to other lessons.
That's the thing. I feel like the people listening to this are very wise, and I feel like very caring too. So like people will listen, and then they'll say, "I had a very valuable lesson I learned," and then they'll share it. It won't be bullshit. It'll be a good lesson, right? And it could be from anybody, right? It could be from the guy working at the convenience store, right?
Yeah, using these lessons,
not necessarily far away,
You need power to use power, and like these are powerful lessons. Like, and if you could use them, if you can apply them, that's powerful. Never don't underestimate yourself. Like that's valuable. It's teach yourself self-worth through experience. Experienced people, they get paid more.
Yeah,
like people pay for experience. It's so valuable.
When I was young, I wanted to be who I am today. I can say that. Like I remember what I wanted to be. I had this vision in my mind. I wanted to be this guy who traveled the world. I wanted to be this guy who knew things. I wanted to be somebody who lived an exciting life. Like I wanted to be somebody who could comfortably go into a difficult new situation knowing he's going to, find those rocks across the river. Not somebody who, I didn't want to be somebody who goes across the same river every time and becomes very good at it. Like Bruce Lee said, he practices the same. He goes, I'm most afraid of a guy who does the same kick 10,000 times. I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to be the guy who knew 10,000 kicks. That's what I wanted. I didn't want one kick 10,000. I wanted to know a lot of shit. I wanted a lot of things and a lot of variety. I wanted to learn a lot of stuff and be able to use that in a variety of ways. And I think that's what I became. So when you want something and you're open to listening to those lessons and you know what I mean? Like you'll become it, you will become it, like my friend Chris, he was like an Asia rat and I wanted to be an Asia rat, I just wanted to be a guy who could survive in Asia no matter what, who just knew the deal. He just could fucking make it, like no matter what. Chris was going to make it. He was going to survive. He didn't need no fucking visas. He didn't need no fucking house. Chris was going to make it. He was fine. He was like a bacteria, cockroach. He was going to survive. I wanted to be like that, and I don't think I never became Chris because Chris was a very unique guy, but I did become me, who I wanted to become in the end, So, but it's like the type of person that's still going to be listening to this is the type of person that is putting together a vision for what he wants in the future. It's the only reason why you'd still be listening is you're like, I want more. So I need to know what to look for so that I can see it and then hear it and then go there, right? That's the whole point. It's not to learn the lessons just to be smart. It's the lessons so that you can go do it. So when you're doing that climb and you don't know how to do that last move, you remember something you heard and then you do that last move, over the top, over vertical, no ropes, and you make that fucking move and you're at the top and you're like, yes, thank God I put together those skills before I got to the top of this fucking mountain, right? That last move, right? That's what I want to pass on, and that's what I want for myself too. I'm still looking for myself. I'm looking for people who have that spirit, that same spirit that I have of wanting to know these things, so that I can reinvent my life, again.
Ooh, I got some stuff. In order to be a creator or be creative, you have to be able to envision or be a visionary. But there's so much out there in the world that helps you, like, to envision things or to be creative. And yeah, there's like a lot of dangers out there, but if you learn those dangers and how to survive, you could really find those things that inspire you most, or even those dangers might inspire you and just allow you to be creative and go about your ways. It's the driving force of evolution.
That's why you have to be. That's why I say, once a year, you got to be ready to do something where you might die. That's my theory. That's my philosophy. Once a year, I'm going to definitely be in a situation where I could die, because if I don't, then I'm just sitting in Starbucks. You know what I mean? It's like I need to push myself, because that's where you find out your limits. People ever's like, oh, you could die. I said, well, that's the fucking point. We're all going to die. It's like no one's going to make it here. Everybody listening will be gone. We're all going to be gone, right? So it's a matter of how are you going to live when you're here, and you got to be able to push yourself to that limit. And if anybody thinks, well, if I died, then it would be a loss, then I would be dumb. No, you might die. Yeah. That's the fucking point.
If there's nothing worthwhile to lose, is it a real big loss?
And also, when I say I might die, I'm not kidding. Yeah. I'm not saying ooh, scary thing. I'm like, no. Actually, I mean that, because that's the only way that you really find. Sometimes you're crossing that river and the river is really fucking strong and there ain't many rocks and those rocks are slippery as fuck, right? Sometimes it's sketchy as fuck, but that's how you learn how to cross a sketchy as fuck river. It's the only way you learn, This year for me, which I'm not going to get into the details, and it's not what you think. It's not 2020. But this year for me has been crossing the river, feeling the stones, and it's been very, very valuable for me. It's been an incredible year, really, and I'm very grateful that I can still find these things that push me to the fucking limit mentally, emotionally, physically, where I actually have to grow. I actually have to gain a new set of skills or I'm not going to make it. That's it. Anybody fucking doesn't push themselves to that, fuck you. The fuck out of this channel. Don't do that. Don't be like that.
Yeah, if you're not pushing yourself, it's a disservice to others. Because you can't help them if you're not moving forward. Then everyone just doesn't move forward. You're kind of encouraging not practice or not progress. Progress is growth is healing moves you forward. It's cells kind of grow every day. They got to do their thing. It's natural. This is what's natural.
I think there's two ways to think about it. There's the kind of logical, the kind of growth kind of idea.
Yeah.
Or there's more my style is more the animal who just waits to spring into action, right? He's just sitting there, and then the situation comes, and he just he goes. That's more my style.
Well, I think your style sounds like biological.
It's not logical. It's not like it's just like I'm ready for that new challenge. I'm just like I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to make me better or not, but I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to fucking do it. Like whatever it is, I'm ready to jump into it. And I don't know if I'm going to make it.
But you're doing stuff. You're not just waiting always.
Yeah, but sometimes it comes to me, right? Sometimes it comes to me and I have a choice. Am I going to face it? Like this year, I had a choice of something. Was I going to face it or was I going to go the other way? And feel probably, I would have felt intense regret. But of course, you don't know how you're going to feel before. But now I know it would have been the biggest mistake of my entire life. Definitely would have been the biggest mistake. But the gauntlet was in front of me. And it was just like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do this. This doesn't make any sense how I'm going to get through this. In my situation, with my knowledge, with my resources, I have no fucking idea. Nobody thought it was a good idea. Everybody said it was a bad idea, including my own parents. Like everybody said, there's no way you're going to make, how are you going to do it? You're not ready. You don't have anything that you need. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm doing it. And I'm so fucking glad. I got to tell you, this year, I'll talk about it later. Like maybe in a couple of years, I'll be able to roll this out for people. But this has been a very, very amazing year for me. And it was because I have this faith in myself. I think that's what the heart of it is. That's what the heart of it is. When you go through these things, it's not the skills that you learn exactly. It's that you are like you just know that you're going to make it. You know that you're up for the fucking challenge. So whatever a man needs to face, because there could be nuclear war. There could be starvation. The whole economy could collapse. We could go into total chaos. And I'm ready. I'm ready. Seriously, I'm ready. If electricity goes off, and I'm not a survivalist either. Like I'm not into being a survivalist at all. But I'm ready for that challenge. So whatever it is, like that kind of challenge, it's like, okay. I kind of live that way anyway. Fuck electricity. I don't need fucking electricity. I don't need a fucking hospital. What do I need that for? Well, I can get water. You only got to eat every 40 days. You eat every 40 days, you're fine, right? You're going to be fine. So it's like, basically, there's not a lot of stuff I need. So what do I need? Well, the one thing I always know, this is what gives me faith. Every time there's a new challenge, a couple things go through my mind. And it's kind of the same decision I make when I start a business. I say to myself, and I don't remember who told me this, but I say, okay, am I worth more than I'm being paid? If I'm worth more than I'm being paid, then I should start my own business. But if I'm worth less than I'm being paid, like if I'm being overpaid, like certain jobs you get overpaid, then it's not, you would be stupid to start your own business because you're benefiting from being in the business, right? I'm not saying there's nothing spiritual about it. If you got a good deal, like you got a good deal, there ain't nothing wrong with that. No, I'm not saying that. No.
Yeah, I know.
But it's like, but then when I look at it very simple. Like I was talking about gravity this morning, right? So I look at it like this. Is it over 50%? Okay. It's over 50. Okay. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. But if I'm over 50%, if I'm making more money than I'm getting paid, say as a salary, then I know that I can somehow make it in business. And people will say, oh, that's too simple. Fuck that. No, my whole life has worked this way. I'll say, okay, I'm worth more than I'm getting paid. I'll figure it out. And they're like, what kind of business are you going to do? I don't know. I'm going to do something. I'm going to figure it out. And I had a lot of failures and I had a lot of successes, And so I don't know if this is good advice for everybody. I'm just telling you my mindset, And so I always know. And then I think, okay, if there was World War, if there was no electricity, if there was no the economy melted down. I think, okay, am I more resourceful? Am I braver, more resourceful than 50% of the people? I would say 100% I am. So because part of it is fear. This is how you get rid of the fear. You just say, okay, somebody's going to make it. Okay. Whenever there's a big change, somebody's going to fucking make it. Who's going to make it? The people that are higher up. Now, of course, luck plays a part too, but let's just say luck aside because you can't control that. And you get, luck, you could have cancer and die tomorrow. Luck, no, you never get out of luck. That's always there. But as far as surviving in any situation, am I over the 50%? Have I kept myself in shape? Or am I have diabetes, I'm 400 pounds overweight, and I can hardly get upstairs? Have I not taken care of myself? Have I let myself go to shit? If I haven't, then I got that, right? Then I'm over 50% there. Okay, well, how about the other stuff? Am I over 50% with having friends, people who would help? Yeah. Okay, am I over 50% here? And start weighing these things out. You say, okay, I'm going to make it. Because in the end, people make it. Every situation, people make it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it. And then that eliminates the fear for me when things change. Because I'm like, I don't know how it's going to fucking happen, but I'll be fucking fine. One of my moms said something interesting. She said, it was really interesting actually, because she doesn't say, my family is Finnish. They don't talk much they never compliment each other, Finnish people. And she said to me, if there ever was a worldwide breakdown, she goes, I'm going to call you first. She goes, She goes, because somehow you always make it. She's like, you have this skill. I believe that you would be the guy who would somehow make it. And it's not because you're my son. She's like, I know you. You are going to make it somehow. And you're going to be fucking fine. And it was interesting for her to say that. Because I knew that she really meant that. And I thought, yeah, I am. And I think it all comes from this stuff that we're talking about here. It's these lessons of life. This is what gives you the skills and the confidence to do the things that that inevitably will make you happy. Not perfect, but make you happy.
What's crazy is there's a lot where I don't wait till the end of the world to figure out some things, and a lot of the reasons for that is that I'm trying to build my own confidence, and I know that with the tasks that I do in my travels and adventures, I need that confidence, as a survival tool, or a lifeline. It's like life support for me. I need that confidence. So what that leads me to do is to take risks and mess up, and see where I mess up. And I'm strong enough where I can afford to make mistakes sometimes. And when I do make those mistakes, it's very revealing of how I could prevent that, or if it's worth it, or, whatever it is. So I'm really cognizant of what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, who I need to turn to for help for certain situations. And knowing myself and my capabilities has been the biggest confidence booster, where I just feel comfortable in all the jeopardizing situations that I survive in, or I'm able to move around in for fun, I'm doing life for enjoyment. And the more I achieve and the more confident I am, and the more I have going for me, the more I feel good about being in a situation that's way worse. I'm like, oh, well, I'm much better off than I was, before. I have tons of experience. If there's a really shitty situation. Yeah. If the world was to end, if things were to get apocalyptic, I'm like, oh, thank God I have this year behind me. Right. Thank God I worked super hard during this year. Again, it's just that pushing yourself thing, and creating confidence.
One thing I learned a lot from getting robbed. Whenever I got twice in my life, I've been let's see, 1, 2, 3 times. 3 times I've been robbed at knife point, right? I had guys pull knives on me, right? Groups of guys, right? Now, I'll tell you something I learned from that. The number one thing, what do you think the number one skill is when you get robbed by a group of guys with knife?
Don't get stabbed.
Don't
get stabbed.
No, the number one thing is this, is you have to be able to negotiate. So a lot of guys, they think that when a guy comes with a knife, let's say a bunch of guys, they think that will mean that you're going to fight, right? Right. That's the number one skill. Now, maybe you might have to fight, but the number one skill actually is negotiation. And so when the guy pulls the knife on you, the first thing you got to do is you basically have to be totally cool, in the sense that basically, what do you want? And the guy's like, he thinks you're going to be all cowering and all that. And you're like, what do you want? Like, just fucking say it, What is it that you want? And then you're like, look, I got $100, but I need $20. I need fucking $20 to get to where I'm going. So I'm not giving you the $100 because I need $20. Like, you guys can understand that. Now I've never done this. I've never given money to guys. I've always found another way. But this is a very good strategy. Is basically you're negotiating. And you're being very straightforward, like a business negotiation. You think a guy pulls a knife on you is going to be something different. It's actually just a regular negotiation. And the thing is when you do this with people, this type of negotiation, I never did giving money, but the negotiation, what the guys do is they immediately relax because they realize that you're treating them almost like business people. And they're like, oh, okay, well, give us your shoes. Or like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, okay, you can keep $20. All right. But, you basically negotiate with the guy right off the bat and get him laughing. So, I need to buy a condom. I need this, of course I would never buy a condom, but you know what I mean? Like, you might say something, and the guys will all start laughing, right? So remember, they're men, right? Usually you're getting robbed by guys, right? So a good joke for guys never hurts, and they realize, like, I can say this. When I'm in a very high stress situation, I have the ability to stay cool and make jokes. And I don't know what I got that from. I don't know where I got that from. But I can tell you this, is that people, it makes a huge difference. And especially powerful people respect it. Because they're like, this motherfucker can handle shit. Like, he's not like freaking out. Because they actually don't want you to freak out. They want you to be, because, you know what I mean? They want you just to say, okay, I'll give you this, but I won't give you that. Like, that's actually what they want. It's like man to man. That's what they want. They win, right? Because they're going to get something, right? But then also at the same time, they're not destroying you. A murderer is a different person. He's going to come and he just wants to get you. I'm talking about I'm talking about guys who are robbing you, right? Remember, you have to think clearly about people. They're not everybody is trying to kill you, right? You know what I mean? They're robbers. They want money, right? So you just keep that in mind, right? You keep your cool. What do these guys want? Okay, they want money, right? Now, of course, if you're smart, you got your money in your shoe. Always have your money in your shoe in a poor country, because that's the last place they're going to check, especially underneath the insole. You have like your money there. I usually have my money somewhere like that, and so you might give $1 to the guy, or you might give him a couple dollars that you had in your pocket for the bus fare or something, and the guy thinks that's all you had, and it's okay, whatever, and then he's happy because he got all your money, right? So it's a combination of preparation and also being cool. But if you're cool and you make jokes, the guys definitely relax. Sometimes they like even invite you out. Like, they're like, yeah. Like I had guys try to rob me, and then they like invited me out for wine. Now I didn't drink, so I didn't take them up on it, but it was hilarious because they're like, wine, because like we negotiated for like a long time because I was trying to get something back they stole, and I did get it back from them. They eventually gave me back my camera, and I've won these situations, and it's very interesting So whenever I get robbed, I consider it an opportunity. Whenever I get jumped, I consider it an opportunity. Whenever I meet somebody, I consider it an opportunity. Because you're always learning. You're learning some hardcore shit, right? That you would not learn in Starbucks. You don't learn how to negotiate. Just don't be a fucking, just like you don't like a simpy guy. Nobody likes a simpy guy. Even people that are robbing you don't like a simpy guy. But at the same time, they don't like a jackass either, right? So it's about keeping that cool. And you're cool. You're like, okay, I understand. You guys got me. You guys want to get something. Yeah, it's cool. Take this, but don't take this. Just don't. I need this. Like if you told them something, like let's say you told them something like serious, like really serious. Like I don't know, like I wouldn't want to lie about something like this, but let's say you said something like, I got to send this. I got to help my sister out. I got to give her this or something like that. Like she needs this. The guys are very likely to let you keep it.
Yeah, like I was getting mugged one time.
Where?
Newark, New Jersey on, oh my gosh, what's the name of the street? It runs right by St. Mike's Hospital and right by Military Park. And this guy's like, here, give me your cash. And I was like, I don't have any cash. And he's like, well, what's in the bag? And I was like, I spent the cash on some supplements. He's like, I don't want that. He's like, give me your watch. I was like, come on, man. It doesn't even work. And I just really like it. Like, I like this watch a lot, and he's just like, he just started cursing at me, like just things weren't going his way. I don't think he wanted anything I had anymore. He was just done with me, and just worked out,
Yeah.
I was just kind of honest.
Yeah. That's the attitude.
Like things weren't going well for me, like I was in Newark, New Jersey, a few things are often going right with you when you're there.
You're like, I'm having a shitty day too. I got this bag of supplements if you want these. He's like, I don't want these.
They're not bad. They're good supplements.
You're like 2020.
That's why I bought them.
2020, baby. 2020.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right. Well, what time is it? It's 1:12. Yeah, I think we went on to like another topic there, but I think we went on too long, I think.
No, it's okay. I think it's like cool because we were hitting it with like a lot of hard stuff, and then we did that kind of like ease into like a cool calmness.
Getting robbed.
Yeah, no,
robbed.
Getting robbed is calm.
I think being able to get robbed is an important skill. I just don't know. I didn't think about it in advance, so I don't really have a plan for that, like how to present it. But definitely being able to be robbed or like be jumped.
It's just another experience.
It's an important skill because otherwise it's another blackmailable thing because people know that you can't handle it. So then
you don't know that you could handle it.
The first time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when once you do it, like life is a little bit more on easy street because you know what you're capable of.
Sometimes when you see someone do it, it helps.
Yeah, if you're not getting by, you don't know if you can get by. Like I said, it's that building confidence thing. This is all related. We would have never gotten to this subject if it didn't make sense.
Right. Confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's what time is it? It's
late.
9:00, and I've been going to sleep early, man. I've been going to sleep so early.
Yeah. Good.
I went to sleep at 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve, and I'm so glad I did too, because I got a great sleep, and I woke up in the morning. It was beautiful. New Year's Eve morning was beautiful. It's perfect. Early in the morning, I watched the sunrise.
Is this first recording of 2021?
Yes.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. That's 2021, baby. Yeah, for sure. And I want to say a special thanks to everybody for 2020 because, there were so many people. There was so much stuff that happened in 2020. And, like you guys know who you are, there were so many good people and girls too. There was a lot of good girls too. there's a lot of people that were very awesome in 2020, you know, and I needed a lot in 2020. It was a tough year. It was a challenging year for me. And it was just like every day was an up and down battle that changed. The landscape changed quickly, like a video game, you know. And I needed to, okay, I need this. Okay, I need to figure out how to do this. Okay, now I got to do this. Okay, I got to do that. Got to learn how to do that, and I got to do it now, you know. And it's like I just like feeling the stones. Here's the new stone, right? I got to figure this out. And then there was somebody was helping me with that, you know. And then somebody else needed help with this. And it's like boom, 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 you know. So I don't know what 2021 is going to bring, but 2020 was an exciting year, and pretty much it was all on tour, almost all on tour. Because I besides Melbourne, right? There was Melbourne, a little stint in Vegas, Bangkok, you know, just like a little stint in Bangkok, just came back, and then just boom, California was fucking La Jolla, and you know, then it's just been city after city after city after city, right? And here we are in Brooklyn, and it's just awesome, you know. Fist bump for Brooklyn, man.
Yeah,
this has been so good. Brooklyn's just been incredible. It's been such a experience, you know. Like I'll never forget Brooklyn. Like now I got a good feeling of Brooklyn. It's no longer Woody Allen for me. Now I've got a new idea. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine you saying that.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's happening.
Yeah, now I've got my own idea of Brooklyn. Like the people here, the food here, you know, what's going on in this city, you know, what it looks like geographically, you know. And yeah, I was like walking across the bridge today. I was walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, and I was thinking, like, this doesn't even remind me of Woody Allen anymore. Like, I can't even remember a scene in the movie where they were on that bridge anymore. But I remember that was the only thing I used to think about when I came here, you know, because I used to love Woody Allen movies when I was in high school, you know. And it's like, now it's become part of my life, you know. Now it's one of those gems that I picked up, right? Now it's in my little bag, right? You know. So that's a very valuable thing, you know. So it's not just experiences and people, it's also places. You pick up a place, you know, the smell of the place, the feel of the place, the vibe of the place, the energy of the place, you know. It's all that stuff, that the food of the place, the things you have to adjust and you learn, you know. It's the way people are. Like, you know, here people are I'll tell you something, in Brooklyn, people fucking notice shit around here. Like I went to the sandwich shop, you know, and I go to the sandwich shop and I said, how long you guys been here? And he goes, oh, we've been here 18 years. And then he goes, you're new. And I'm like, and I'd never even been in there before. And I go, and I'd never even been in the shop. It was across Fifth Street or whatever. I'd never even been over there. And then he's like, oh yeah, I seen you around. You've been around for a while. And I'm like, wow, you know, Brooklyn people notice, you know.
Oh yeah, Sunset Park for sure.
If you're in a neighborhood, man, fuck, people notice, you know. Oh yeah, shout out to Ed on Christmas Eve, man. Christmas Eve was rough, man. Fuck, man. I was trying to get a bunch of copies made for this legal stuff I'm doing. And so I left the house and I went down to the UPS store. And the UPS store was closed. And it said it was open, but it was Christmas Eve. So they lied. Their website wasn't updated. So I get down there and it's fucking closed. And I had to file these documents. So I'm like, God damn it. And then everything was closed. So I walked all the way down to 3rd Street, right? And from 45th Street. And I was walking and there's like all these homeless zombies and shit. It's Christmas, so nobody's out. And it started to rain. And I didn't have a raincoat on. It was dark. It was you know, it was night. And it was just sketchy because nobody was out. It was just ghost town. So I get to Staples store. Staples was closed. The guy was leaving. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, it's Christmas. I'd love to do it for you, but I already set the alarm. I can't do it. So then I'm like, fuck, I got to do these papers. Everything's fucking closed. I was ready to give up. Then I called Ed from the summit. Just out of nowhere, I called Ed. And Ed's like, come on over. So I was like, no way. So I follow the map. Takes me through Prospect Park at night. It's raining like crazy now. I'm soaked. It's fucking Christmas. I'm soaked. It's dark. It's taking me through the muddy paths, you know, and I'm slipping. And I'm just fucking, and I'm just thinking, like, how many Christmases have I been in a nice car, in a nice house, with a leather jacket and a hot chick, you know, with presents everywhere. You know, I've had so many Christmases, right? And I'm just like, this Christmas, I'm wearing this jacket that I got from my friend in Philly. You know, wearing this jacket. I'm just slogging along in the mud. It's raining. I have no umbrella. It's pitch black. I'm like crossing this park. There's nobody there. Could have been any homeless people or whatever. Because there was crazy drunken people out. Then I get to Ed's house. Ed's like, print it up, baby. Give it to me. And then he had like a home office. It prints it up, scans it. We send it off. He fucking orders these tacos. His wife comes out. She speaks Japanese. So it was a great, first chance I've had to speak Japanese since I got here. So I started speaking Japanese, and she was like from the countryside. So she was like really blown away by my Japanese. And it was really fun to talk to her, actually. And she was actually quite smart. Very interesting conversation, actually. Because usually when I talk to people, they'll start to saying like just the same boring things like, oh, your Japanese is so good. I hate this conversation. We actually had a good conversation. And so it was great. And then like I finished it up, and then I walked home at like 12 o'clock, and I just felt like that was one of the best Christmases ever, you know? Like that was real Christmas spirit. Ed was there, you know? He's like, you need help? Christmas Eve, you get your ass here. Yeah. You get your ass over here, and I'm going to take care of you. Tacos are going to be waiting, and we're going to have a good time. And we did, you know. So, like, I'm very grateful for everybody, you know, my friends, everybody that have been here on tour, you and Ray, you know, just being there for me, and me being there for everything. It was just all the experiences we had. And just all the people along the way, Scott Morris, you know, in Austin, Gia, you know, how many great people did we meet, right? Sean and two Seans, right? Sean in Florida, Sean in Atlanta. Sean in Atlanta is now down in like Costa Rica or Puerto Rico or something.
No way.
Yeah, he's like, he did it. He said he was going to do it. He's gone. Yeah, sent me a message. And like, there's too many good people to name, but I'm very grateful that I know all you guys and girls, because it's like, man, shocking, just amazing.
What a year!
What a fucking year!
What a year!
What a fucking year! And what a fun year too.
Yeah.
When I could look back at my Instagram pictures, I'm like, oh my God, this was an epic year. Seriously. I mean, I got bit by a fucking brown recluse spider. You know, I could have lost my leg. Didn't go to the hospital. I'm over Steve's house, soaking it in the fucking bath. He's like, I don't think that's going to work. I'm like, soak it in water. It works every time. You know? He's like, I think you need medical care. And I did it with just soaking, you know. Like, and then fucking Robert and Niles.
Yeah, those two are characters.
And Rev.
What a duo.
Yeah, Rev. Oh, fucking, I sent Rev a message the other day. Oh, yeah. And I sent Sydney a message the other day, too. Yeah. He sent me a bunch of messages.
Yeah, he's got the jokes, man. He's the funniest guy that I met all tour, all year long. Sydney, we were in Australia when it was on fire. At the beginning of the year. So I mentioned that to some people. I was like, I was in Australia when it was the fire. They were like, how many years ago was that? And I was like,
this year. 2020. And there was like, it was like, some days were like terrible. Right? Smoke was so bad.
Yeah.
A couple days, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty depressing. Like,
I couldn't even see the airline control tower when I was on the runway. I was trying to leave and we couldn't even we couldn't see the end of the runway.
Yeah, and D took care of us. Jason, Ronin Man the horse, you know, all the stuff that happened down there, man. Fucking, and then in La Jolla, Rhett's in Bangkok now.
No way.
Yeah, he moved to Bangkok.
He escaped from Canada.
Yeah, Rhett's in Bangkok, and my buddy Jeff in Toronto keeps trying to get me to go up there, but we can't get up there. It's closed, you know.
Yeah, poor Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah, heart goes out to everyone who's shut down right now.
Yeah. anybody who's in like a shutdown area, really that keep your spirits up. It's not forever. It's not fucking forever. It's like right now this place is open, but we've been in a couple places where, pretty closed down, right? California was one of the most closed down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, La Jolla. We were the only ones out, man. It's been a trippy year too because everybody's like choosing sides, and their masks or no masks, and people switch. They're like no mask, and all of a sudden they're masked. There's nothing clear this year. Nothing clear. There's been a lot of challenges, and I think we've had to adjust over the year too, because things have changed, right? Things keep changing,
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people that I've had to rely on to keep me safe. I was like, hey, keep awareness. I make these travels. I try to share information as much as possible with my program and help people. Like being like a life coach and things of that nature. And I've had so many people that have gotten tested just so they could see me safely. I've had some people who said like, no, I don't feel comfortable seeing you. Like I've been exposed to somebody who may have been exposed or anything of that nature. I've been saved quite a few times, but no one that I've ever crossed paths with, I've never had any close calls. Like everyone's done a really excellent job.
You were there when the armadillo came, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. This armadillo shot out of the ground.
In Arkansas.
Yeah. And I'm holding the flashlight, and Robert goes, what was that? And I was like, an armadillo. And he goes, oh, what? Give me that flashlight. And he goes, oh my gosh, it is an armadillo. And Niles just goes, I hate those bony bastards. Creep me out. Dude, we've had so many adventures, things that are scary, things that are just funny, they're kind of scary, but not, I think the brown recluse is scary. That all happened in the same place, by the way, the brown recluse and the armadillo.
I think the brown recluse happened in Atlanta.
No way.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
No, I think I got bit in Atlanta and then went to Arkansas. And I think that it took time. It took time for the thing to open up. And I didn't know what it was. And it's like a very unusual bite, right? What it does is kind of opens up. It looks like if you took a stick or if you took a piece of hot metal and you stuck it in wax, and it would like open up a big hole that doesn't...
Yeah, it's like a gouge.
Yeah, it's like a gouge. And that's what it looked like. So it's slow. I think it's from... I was studying about brown recluse. They like old books. So in Atlanta, remember Sean had all those old books in the living room. He had all these old books he had moved, and they were all in bags. There was bags everywhere of old books. I slept in the living room that one night. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened was I put my wallet on top of the old books. And then at night, I put my wallet into my sleeping bag. So I think the spider was on my wallet.
Yeah.
So then it was dark, right? So I grabbed my wallet, I shoved it into my bag, and then I put my legs in there and went to sleep. And then it bit my leg when I was sleeping. So that's how I got the bite.
And this is crazy because I had already, Ronin and I had split up a few times. I have my own Chime Time saga that I, travel on. So like your tour, my saga, like we were all doing things simultaneously.
There. You weren't there when you got bit.
I had gone to, when you became symptomatic, I was in Wisconsin and you sent me a picture and we were in the group chat and I was like, I think that's a brown recluse.
Oh, did you say it first?
Yeah, I said it. And then Ray was just like, that's it. That's definitely it.
That was the closest I came to needing medical care in a long time. Because I never need medical care. I just always figure out a way to do it myself. That was the closest I came. I almost went. In Virginia Beach, if it wouldn't have gotten better, because what happened was I had the bite plus all the poison ivy. Like poison ivy everywhere. Right? And I didn't know what it was because I never had it before. So I didn't buy that chamomile stuff. So I was just like burning up.
Calamine.
I was burning up. My whole legs were just on fire. Plus, I had the brown recluse spider. Like, my whole leg was just like bright red, just burning. And I didn't know, so the spider I didn't even hardly notice because my leg was on fire, both of them. And I kept touching other parts of my body, so I had poison ivy everywhere. But I literally, they don't have it in Asia. So I never got it. I had never even known about it, And brown recluse spiders they don't have.
And we just kept going, because I went from Wisconsin, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then I met up with you in Boston. And this all went down within a week's time. Like, you went from where were you? Like you went from Arkansas to Massachusetts, just straight?
We went.
Oh no, you went to Memphis first. You went Arkansas, Tennessee.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah. You stopped in Virginia, and then you stopped in Boston, and oh my gosh, that was all in like a week's time.
We went back to Atlanta because I remember we stayed at my buddy Steve's house.
Oh,
and then we left Steve's. So it was a crazy trip. We had to be so flexible because we were going down to Florida. So we were going to drive to Florida. So in the morning we left Steve's house, went to Walmart to like stock up on stuff for the drive. And then we got in Walmart, and then I thought, fuck it, I better text my brother, see what he's doing, So I texted him in Boston, and he's like, my wife left. She got out with COVID. She got out of the, because back then you couldn't fly, because of COVID. But then suddenly she could fly, so she went back home to Finland. And then he's like, come on over whenever you want. And I love my brother, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm going right now. So I said, fuck it, we're not going to Florida, we're going to fucking Boston. So then we went straight from Atlanta, and then instead of driving all the way, stopped in Virginia Beach at Steve's place again, and then came up to Boston. Yeah,
we'll do Boston again.
Oh, that was good.
We're definitely doing Boston again, but like when the border opens and it's time to go to Toronto, we're going crazy in Toronto.
Oh, and Montreal, and Vancouver
City,
too.
Yeah. Oh man, I cannot wait for Vancouver.
Yeah.
I love British Columbia.
And Vancouver Island. I got a good buddy in Vancouver Island we can stay with. Yeah, he's in the south, and we can go up to Tofino, and surf. There's killer surf up there in Tofino. This is my buddy from Japan. Really good guy. He'll definitely take care of us. Chris. So we'll be styling, yeah. So he just sold his company. Get this. He had an events company, and he sold it just like one day before COVID got serious for like a ton of money. Cashed out. And it's an event company, so it's worth nothing now. Because nobody goes to events. He just like cashed out. Of course, he had no idea, right?
Yeah.
He had no idea. Like, nobody knew what was coming. He just suddenly got this offer from this big company to buy his company because he built up this event company that was very successful. It was like a business event thing. So he's like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to retire. It's cool. I'll sell it. And then he just sold it on the perfect day. Just perfect. If he would have waited even another month, probably wouldn't have ever sold. Because event companies usually don't sell.
Yeah.
No, but this was a very consistent event company. Had big sales.
I know a girl in Chicago who was waiting on like her company merged with another company, and then they were going to do like a buyback and an initial public offering, and everything fell through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was an events app, very similar to somebody we're dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was telling them at the time, like, I was like, oh yeah, I know this girl that's working on this app. It's very similar to yours, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's how that ended up.
Right. No, there's a lot of broken dreams this year.
Oh yeah.
A lot of broken dreams, and also there's a lot of poverty now too. Like there's a lot of poverty in Italy right now. There's a lot of people who, all over the world, like, they had money and now they don't have money. And I think that I have always had a very, like varied life. So I've had money and no money, many times. So for me, not having money or having money doesn't freak me out like most people. I think that's a lot of being unblackmailable. Is you're like, whatever, But a lot of people right now, they've never been down, right? So they're freaking. But there's no reason to freak. There's no reason to freak out. It's a great opportunity for you to like reevaluate who your friends are. You make some tough decisions. This is what I'm talking about in the beginning, is these tough situations, crossing the river, feeling the stones. That's what people are doing right now. But a lot of people, they can't handle it. They're just like, I want a guaranteed solution, I want, God to give me a guaranteed success. It's like, no, man, you're crossing the river, feeling the stones like everybody else, But the question is, are you going to do it well? Or are you going to be like demanding bonehead? Are you going to be a failure? Or are you going to like be like, hey, whatever happens, I'm going to survive. So there's nothing really to worry about, right? You're not going to die of starvation, right? So you're going to survive. So what are you going to do? Are you going to come out stronger? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, my company, like, like Chime Time, like, I made a lot of money, like, recuperating my travel expenses by selling jewelry and different retail products at festivals. And when festivals got canceled at the beginning of this year, we were like, Ronin and I were just looking for like a fun idea or some what's worth doing, always think what's worth doing, tour time, like the whole tour came out of just us having free time and the opportunity to come up with a new idea.
Yeah, like it was the best option at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Basically I was like, okay, I got to be in America, right? Because like I got something to do, right? So I'm like, I got to be here, but I don't know where I want to be. So I don't want to sit in one place. I don't want to get all settled in one place. Not yet, not until I know where I'm going to be, how it's going to work out, right? So once I know, then I'll be there. But until then, I'm like, wait a second. I'm not set anywhere. I can be anywhere. Well, then I want to see America. And I want to meet the fucking Ronin guys. I want to meet face to face. Start meeting more people. And just gathering, more, and giving more. Not just sitting around hiding and fucking, hibernating, right? And then that's what fucking happened. And it's just been, fuck. I mean, I think this year, we're going to realize the value of this year in a couple of years. Us getting out there and meeting all those people and forming all those friendships, and bonds, right? Because those bonds don't go away, And most people, they didn't do fuck all this year. Yeah, we did so much.
We put in the work, we did stuff.
So much.
instead of prematurely dying, we lived.
Oh, big time, big time.
In the moment.
And it was a bunch of hard decisions, because I remember when the La Jolla Summit came, everybody was saying cancel. A lot of people couldn't come. Half the guys couldn't come that said they were going to come, And then I was like, fuck, I don't know if it's worth it, And then I'm like, I don't know if anyone's going to come. I don't know, And then Timmy came with the steaks, and we were barbecuing the first day, and he brought these like 2-inch fucking steaks, and we just had like 10 extra steaks for each person, and fucking they were delicious, and there was food everywhere, and he made beans, and he made salad, he made all this stuff. It was like and the chicken, it was like a fucking feast, right? And I was just like, we're all sitting there, we're in Ryan's house. It's a beautiful day. La Jolla's gorgeous. We got the backyard. And I'm just like, 100% this is the right thing to do. Like, you could just feel it. Like, the energy was so high. And all of us, it was almost like we were part of a secret club. We were all just like, we're doing the right thing. This is awesome. This is awesome,
This is how the rest of the year's going.
Yeah, we were walking around going shopping and stuff, and like nobody else was out. And we were all just like, this shit, man. This is awesome, It was so weird and dystopian and weird world, right? There's nobody out. But it was like, we knew we made the right decision. But it was that hard decision in the beginning when you don't know the future, when you're crossing the river and you haven't found the stone, that's where we were, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best decisions that I've been repeating making is just, every state has a different set of rules. You don't want to under follow the rules, and you don't want to over follow the rules. You want to get it just right, and we've made the just right decisions wherever we've gone, and it's really paid off going with the flow. But you can only learn how to go with the flow if you go places, and listen and look and do whatever,
Even coming to New York was scary when we came in, because when we came in, they just made that new rule that if you come into New York, it's like a $5,000 fine, or a $10,000 fine or something, Remember, there was all these rules that came the day we came, and then you told us the road to take, and we're like coming in, and we're like, I don't know if it's going to work out, and is anybody going to come? And, it's just all it is crossing the river, and we haven't found the stone. But we're like, just have faith. And then it totally worked out, right?
Yeah.
Even though it was the smallest summit, it still totally worked out. I mean, just meeting Ed was worth it, it was just read that alone, and then all the other guys that were there.